Good evening and welcome. Tonight I'm really excited to start reading from this book, Great City Maps, a historical journey through maps, plans, and paintings. This is a Smithsonian book as well. This book was kindly donated to me from my Amazon wish list. Thank you to that anonymous donor. If you would like to donate a book on my list, you can check it out down below, but no pressure. I'll buy those books eventually. But if you want to see one sooner than later, you can always send it off to me. It's I'll never post a book there more than $40 or anything, and it's totally optional, no obligations. It's totally like, I'll shout you out and everything if you want. But anyway, on to the book. This book is really cool. It has tons of ancient maps in it, and I thought instead of reading this book straight through, we'd pick and choose our cities today. So, as you can tell by the title, today I thought we'd start off with my city, San Francisco. So, this map we're going to look at was made in 1859. It says it's an Office of the Coast Survey. It's an engraving on paper, and numerous copies exist of it. Here's how big it is compared to a person. And it's titled City of San Francisco and its Vicinity, California. Let's read the description before we look at the map. It says the California Gold Rush, which began in January 1848, drew a flood of fortune seekers to the western territories of America. Many arrived via the entrance port of San Francisco, recently annexed from Mexico, raising the population of the settlement from 1,000 in 1848 to 25,000 by the end of 1849. This rare map, prepared by the U.S. Coast Survey, depicts the city 10 years later, by which time the population stood at around 70,000 inhabitants. At this point, San Francisco had changed from a city of tents and flimsy shacks to one of brick and stone buildings. The map shows how the extent of the city stretched 12 blocks back from a waterfront lined with wharfs and piers, where new immigrants were still arriving daily. At the heart of the built-up district on the map, can be seen a block that is empty of buildings. This is Portsmouth Square, the civic center of the new city, also known as the Plaza. It was the location of the new city hall until the 1870s. It is from here that horse-drawn omnibuses would depart for all parts of the city, including the Mission de Dolores, top left quadrant of the map. I'm sure then it was pronounced Mission de Dolores, but that's how we say it today. This area is now a small district known as the Outer Mission, but in 1859 it was only connected to the growing city by a single road that crossed over sandy hills. Mission de Dolores was popular for its race courses visible on the map, which were laid out during the gold rush years. I want to see that. I didn't know that the Mission had race courses in it. So let's see what we can see. So this looks like the empty section where the city hall was going to be built, which is interesting because today it's more around like here. So that looks like the racetrack right there. So probably city hall's more around here. Sorry, I just zoomed into looking closer. It's really small, but you can see Market Street on there, which it's still called today. And yeah, it's really cool. You can see the Mission Bay here. Steamboat Points, that's so cool. Rincon Point. See little names of things that are still there. You can even see kind of where the hilly areas are. And you can tell that they built around all the hills at this point. The hills are all around this area and over here. This part is very flat in San Francisco. Let's see what this says over here. Oh, look at this drawing. How cool. Carefully put this down. So that must be Market Street right there. Let's see what the little caption says down here, if I can get it in frame. That works. It says, before the gold rush, this view of San Francisco from the bay was drawn in 1847, the same year that the formerly Mexican settlement changed its name from Yerba Buena to San Francisco, and just 1 year before the gold rush that would transform it from a sparse frontier outpost to a booming city. So that's what San Francisco looked like before the gold rush. You can see little dots of houses. Not much there. Port area. Interesting. You can see the hills in the back too. That's so cool. Alright. And we have one more map to look at. This one's really cool. Let's read about it first. It's from 1914. It was made by C. Merriman Peter. It's a photolithograph, and numerous copies exist. Here it is to scale with the human hand. Pretty much the same as it is in this book, I think. And it's named Peter's San Francisco Locator. Ostensibly, the Panama Pacific International Exposition of 1915 was held to celebrate the completion of the Panama Canal, but its real purpose, as far as residents of the host city were concerned, was to announce the rebirth of San Francisco in the wake of the cataclysmic 1906 earthquake. So while this souvenir map includes a site plan of the exposition identifying its various palaces and pavilions, it also showcases the greater city beyond. The devastation wrought by the earthquake was seized on an opportunity to regenerate San Francisco. Streets were widened and more arterial thoroughfares created. The city gained a new civic center complex as well as the Stockton Street and Twin Peak tunnels, the latter the world's longest streetcar tunnel. Both are marked on the map, even though the latter was not completed until 1918. The tunnels facilitated the expansion of the new electric streetcar network, which crucially allowed streetcars to run from downtown to the new Marina District, the site of the International Exposition. Let's check this out. This is so neat. It looks so much like San Francisco today, but not at the same time. So you can see some pretty obvious places like the ferry building down here. There's Market Street, stretching all the way down. There's Civic Center, Golden Gate Park, same shape it is. There's Sutro, Twin Peaks, Lake Merced. It's so cool. And it looks like over here by the Presidio is where the exhibition was. Let me slide this over a bit. So there's Fort Mason. Here's all the piers. And then you get to the directory over here. Very cool. I didn't know that. Like, this area is still pretty nice today. It's where the Palace of the Fine Arts is. It's a really, like, gorgeous museum. Maybe I can take you there one day. But I believe that it was made for this exhibition. I think it talks about it in the box over here. Let's read that first. Let's see. Slide this over. Oh, there's a cool map over here too. Like part of it down here. Let's see what this is. That looks like the peninsula, San Francisco, and Oakland right here. San Francisco Bay. And this is definitely before the bridge was built, right? But it looks like that there's a... Let me see what this is. Let me zoom in closer. Western Pacific. So there is like a track going there. But there's no bridge there yet. That's where the Bay Bridge is. You can see Alameda too. It's an island right there. So let's read this in context. There had been magnificent World's Fairs in London in 1851, Chicago in 1893, and Paris in 1900. In 1915, it was the turn of San Francisco. The intention of the Panama Pacific International Exposition was to showcase achievements in technology, science, industry, and the arts. The event drew more than 18 million visitors who could watch the assembly of a pair of Levi's jeans or of a brand new Ford. When the fair ended in December 4th, 1915, almost all of its buildings were dismantled. Only the Palace of the Arts was left standing. That was hard to say. Today it's the Palace of the Fine Arts. Only the Palace of Arts was left standing, which became an exhibition hall, then a tennis center, then a storage depot, and eventually a museum. Look at this, the Tower of Jewels that was built. That's really cool. Let's see, it says it was the centerpiece of the exposition. Wow, covered with 102,000 pieces of cut glass that were illuminated by searchlights at night. Can you imagine? That sounds beautiful. Anyway. Yeah, it's interesting because the Palace of the Fine Arts, its architecture is like nowhere else in the city. It's very like classical Italian Renaissance-y looking kind of place. So I've always wondered like how and why it was built until I looked it up, and I was like, oh cool, it's built from an exhibition. So let's see what else we can find in this map. So here you can see the Presidio, U.S. military reservation, which it still is today, pretty much. This is where the Golden Gate Bridge comes in at, right around here. Of course, it wasn't there yet. It's still got a while. Let's see. Let me bring it close again. The Great Highway, it says. That's where the beach is. You can see Murray's Beach, which I think is gone now. And let's see. There's all the different parks that are still there. Jefferson Square, Alamo Square. That's really neat. This is cool. That's where the City Hall building is today. All this stuff is still there. That's the library. Look, it's still there. There's the library. Auditorium, yeah, that's all still there. All the street names are still the same. I want to see if anything's different. Not from what I can tell. I think the little red dots are part of the exhibition too. Let's see. That's so cool. So yeah, here's the Western Pacific freight ship comes in there, which is cool because that's totally where the Bay Bridge comes in and the freeway goes into right about here. That's really neat. It's weird to think that there weren't any bridges connecting the peninsula to the East Bay or the North Bay at that time. That's so cool. Anyway, all the Snob Hill, Chinatown, Russian Hill, those are all still there. Telegraph Hill. Ooh, the Latin Quarter, fancy. This is so neat. What else can we see? Let's look at the piers down here, which are all still there. The numbers are very different though, aren't they? Let's see, there's Fisherman's Wharf. Oop. Fisherman's Wharf still there. And all the different piers. Of course, Pier 39 now is like a big tourist pier. There's tons of shops and stuff there. And all the different piers here. And the ferry building, still there, still operating as a ferry building. Really good farmers market outside there too. That's so neat. Sorry, I'm like reading the map. I should have looked at this more closely, but I thought that I would check it out. Oh, look at the train station. That's still there. That's cool. Very neat. Anyway, that's pretty much it for tonight. I'm going to end it on this note. Looking up in here. Of course, this is all city now, but I wonder if this was all planned or residential. There's Daly City, which is a big city now. Cemeteries. Do you see that? Ooh, I know that part of the grim part of San Francisco history is after the earthquake, Alamo Square was used as a mass burial site, which these houses here are now the Six Sisters. That it's like the famous like house fronts. Maybe I'll throw up a picture of them here, but they're very recognizable houses. But yeah, what else to show you? The Mission Dolores, that's of course still there, the old mission that the mission's named after. Anyway, that's really interesting. trying to see all the little street names here. Recreation Park. It's Castro Street. This is my hangout over here. And yeah. There we go. There's Ashbury. Trying to find Haight Street if it was there. Because Haight Street is the best. Maybe I'll take you guys there too someday. Nope, I don't see it. Maybe it's not totally there because it's like... I don't see it. Maybe it wasn't there yet. That's the best place to shop. Oh my gosh. There's lots of little secret nooks and places to shop that are the best. And the Haight's probably my favorite one next to the Castro. You find the coolest stuff on Haight Street. Oh my gosh. If you know your San Francisco history, that's where all the hippies hung out in the 70s and like 69 through the 70s. And it's still very much like hippie territory today. Like there's some places on that street where time has stood still and it's still 1969. You find the coolest things there. I found some awesome clothes there before. But anyway, I think I'm going to end it there tonight. So let me show you the table of contents of this book so I can show you all the other cities that are featured. Here we go. I'd like you to comment below what cities you want me to cover next. And I'll run a poll on my community tab and we'll pick the next city. So you can see that. Like first up is Rome. It has 4 maps. Really cool. We have Jerusalem, Beijing, Constantinople, Alexandria, Tenochtitlan in Mexico City, Stockholm, London, Dublin, Amsterdam, Ghent, Marseille, Frankfurt, Wrocław, Lisbon, Barcelona, Venice, Florence, Vienna, Beijing, Madrid, Kyoto, Berlin, Seoul, Prague, Moscow, Sydney, we just did San Francisco, Batavia, Quebec, Santo Domingo, Cape Town, Washington, Cairo, Paris, Edinburgh, St. Petersburg, Baghdad, Rio, Shanghai, New Amsterdam and New York, and Tokyo. So let me know which ones you want to see next in the comments. I'm excited to look at all of them. Some of them are really, really neat. Like, let me show you. I was reading the Rome ones because it was first. Like, look at this old map. Look at, if I can turn it, this old map. Oh, that's so cool. Anyway, maybe we'll just do both next time. We'll see. Anyway, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a very good night. Good night.